Texans beat the Cardinals 22-16, and CJ was asked after the game about the defense picking up the offense in today's game. It's interesting the way this question was phrased, and watch CJ's response at the very beginning.
2 years ago, walk us through how it is for the defense to pick you up on a rough day passing for you.
They did a great job. That's complimentary football right there. Them working with me, I'm working with them. It's week in and week out. And I mean, I thought we threw the ball really well. I don't look at 3 plays and be like, dang, I had a bad game. Of course I can't turn the ball that much. Threw for 300 yards again and 2 touchdowns. I don't think I played terrible, but of course you can't turn the ball over. But the defense definitely held us up when we need them to, and just a great game to learn from.
The defense did have 3 stops on 4th down in the 4th quarter. That was big time. I think the thing that doesn't tell the whole story there, and maybe why I chuckled a little bit, was the Texans converted 69% of their 3rd downs. They had over 400 yards of offense. And really, I think that they were winning the physical battle all game long. It was CJ's 3 mistakes on those interceptions. Also, look, when we talk about complimentary football, the Texans defense did allow a touchdown 1 minute and 32 seconds into this game. It did not start off pretty at all, and that defense is banged up. They played nickel the entire game. Tavier Thomas was basically their will linebacker. So it was very good complimentary football. My one big takeaway is that honestly, over these last 2 weeks, where CJ himself has turned the ball over 6 times in the last 2 games, the Texans have won those games. CJ's had great performances, but marred by these turnovers, and yet the team still won. I think they're a more complete team that I really wanted to give them credit for.
Going into the draft, a lot of people doubted Tank because of his size and didn't think that he could succeed at the NFL level. What do you think about what he's done and the success he's had, despite his size?
I'm super proud of him, man. He's somebody who I came in. He was somebody who I was in contact with right after we both got drafted, and we got like a 2-week period where we were away, and we stayed in contact and just we're helping each other with the plays and things like that. And then we got here, and we just had like a natural connection, and that's grown from hard work, being very disciplined, and things like that. So, man, I'm super proud to see the fruits of his labor pay off, and he's going to continue to do great things, man. He's definitely a superstar in this league. He's going to continue to show that. So I'm really proud of that dude, man. He works his tail off every day. I've never seen somebody work as hard as him at receiver, other than who I went to college with. And you can see like on his navigation, like his speed, he's running full speed every day, and that's hard to do, So he's definitely a great talent, a great player, and a great person, and I'm blessed enough to be teammates with him.
Okay, 2 things there. One, the comparison that I wanted to make early this season, but I wanted to hold off until it got further down the road. Tom Brady and Julian Edelman and their relationship, and some of it was eerily similar. Look, Brady's older than Edelman, but Edelman, kind of in the way that Tank Dell reached out to the Texans and reached out to CJ Stroud and vice versa. Julian Edelman, he kind of stalked Tom Brady when he was a young receiver, and he realized, okay, I got to figure out a way to impress this guy. Went and lived in the same place Tom Brady worked out in the offseason and offered to be there to run routes for him, and he was always available to work out. So stalking in a very productive way, but stalking nonetheless. I think that those 2 guys formed a relation that was synergistic. That's the word I'm looking for. It was greater than the sum of its parts. And I think with CJ and Tank, look, this is year 1. As long as they continue to hang out, as long as they continue to work on their dance moves together, and as long as they continue to have that almost 6th sense of knowing where the other guy is and what the intentions are, it could get really, really good. The other thing, when he mentioned the navigation, I thought that was cool. He was talking about the GPS tracking, which I guess has become synonymous with navigation, but they can track these guys, how fast they're moving in practice. They use it as a way, not necessarily to check up on them, but to monitor and see if guys are slowing down in practice. It might be a hint that they're getting overtrained and fatigued and maybe injury prone. But I know the guys do look at it almost as a competition to see who's fastest in practice any given day. So there's a natural motivational thing there. And Tank, like, okay, how do you get to be as good as you are when you're vastly undersized? You work your butt off. As talented as he is, the kid's had to work his butt off.
You walk us through that play. Tank said he never saw you pointing, and everybody else saw you kind of point towards the end zone. You kind of walk us through how that works.
Yeah, they got a little pressure. It was a drawback from under center. They got a little pressure, so I was able to get the edge and escape. And those are things that we work on in practice is the scramble drill. He made a distinct move and took off to the back pylon, and I felt like he had good leverage on the defender, and just trying to give him a shot and throw a good ball. And I don't know if he's seen me or not, but I know he caught it, and it was a really great catch. And I'm really happy that play was able to be made. And I think that we can build on top of that. Something in this league that you have to be great at is scramble drill. Sometimes they do good in coverage. They get paid too, you know. So I mean, you're playing against a great defense, a great team every year, and that Cardinals team took people to the wire every game. And for us to be able to pull out a win and make plays the way he's been able to make them, to be able to run the ball, man, it's something that we're going to continue to build on.
The scramble drill is interesting because I think different teams do it more effectively than others. And Aaron Rodgers was always really good, and I guess they were very systematic in the way they worked it in Green Bay. And that's why you could see when Aaron Rodgers would buy time, he kind of had his sixth sense with Randall Cobb or whomever else. I think the interesting thing is that Tank Dell said afterwards that he didn't see CJ telling him to go deep. He just knew to do it. And Clint Sterner was sitting next to me in the press box. We were watching Tank Dell's cuts on that. And Clint said, Chief, it looks like a damn squirrel out there. And he did like a squirrel in traffic. Except this ended up a lot better for Tank Dell than it does typically for a squirrel. I don't know why they're so bad at running away from cars. Although I do say that as somebody who's been hit by vehicles 3 times in his life, and at least 2 of them are at least half my fault. So there's that. My apologies to squirrels. Also, as far as defensive backs getting paid too, yeah, they do get paid too, but man, it's hard to cover Tank Dell for any more than a few seconds. So CJ's ability to use pocket mobility and movement, not necessarily scrambling, but man, he stepped just far enough to clear some space, had somebody in his face, and then threw the ball 54 yards in the air with somebody in his face. That was really cool. Man, I'm getting excited just thinking about it. We got a long week ahead of us. Everybody just calm down.
How much does it mean to win a game like this, right? To overcome all the adversity and win the game? What does that say? What does that do for the character of this team?
I think I think this is 3 weeks in a row, man, of us executing a 2-minute drill. And the first time we had those, we didn't win. We lost to Carolina and then we lost to Atlanta on 2-minute drills. And we came back and had like a leadership council and wanted to do a lot more 2-minute walkthroughs. And D'Amico did that for us, and I think it's paying off. So this game, I mean, this league and these games towards the end of November, going into December, man, they're not going to be easy. And it's all about just not blinking. And I really think that this team is building a callus to that. We don't have to live in that world, which I know we keep doing it, but we could start putting people away too. That would be helpful and be cool. But it is what it is, man. You get any way you can in this league. You want to win. That Cardinals team had really good DBs and really good players. And we still threw the ball really well. But, of course, everybody's going to highlight the turnovers and everything, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, we're going to keep doing us and keep proving ourselves right, you know. So I'm really blessed to be able to get these type of wins, but we don't have to. We're hopefully going to stop doing that. But if we need to pull out the bad, we will.
I really like hearing that the advice that the Leadership Council gave D'Amico was heeded and incorporated into practice. I know Jimmy Ward is a big part of that. Jimmy Ward's talked about how much he loves doing situational work. I've been a part of leadership councils at times where I think the coach wanted to listen and believed it, but he just had his core beliefs about the way things needed to be done. I think D'Amico's A, younger than some of the coaches I had, and B, a little bit more flexible and genuinely willing to listen, even if it's uncomfortable. So I give him a lot of credit for that. D'Amico saying that it doesn't need to be like this. Yes, I do think that at some point here, we're going to have to see the Texans versus good opponents or bad opponents just really slam the door shut on teams in the fourth quarter. It doesn't always have to be this tense and painful. Remember, I think the team was still winning the physical matchups. It really was. It was CJ making some bad throws or decisions in the red zone, which ultimately shouldn't be that harmful, but aggressively trying to score points. You know, you could argue that on those 3 touchdowns, hey, he should have been more conservative. They gave up 9 points off the board. Well, you could also argue that he was trying to score 21 points. I think most of us as fans are always clamoring for our team to be more aggressive rather than less aggressive and conservative, especially when you have a defensive-minded coach. And I think, look, this is an aggressive offense. They go downfield often and successfully. CJ is one of the best and most accurate at throwing the ball downfield right now. He's in the top 3 for yards per attempt. This is the no risk it, no biscuit part of it. And I'm cool with it for now. And I think he's going to learn from each one of these mistakes, each one of these interceptions. He'll get better. It's not in his core DNA to be a guy that throws a bunch of interceptions every year. He's not Jameis Winston. He's not a young Brett Favre. That's just not who he is.
CJ, two-part question. First, just your health. We also took a big shot. You had to come out the game. So just overall that process, getting back out there, how you felt. And then the second piece of that is, do you feel now, given the last 2 weeks, having to do some risk assessment management, whether it's in the low red, the high red, plus on the field, how do you go about picking and choosing your spots, when to be aggressive and when not to?
What was the first question again? I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm good. I just got the wind knocked out of me. I'm all right. Took a couple little shots, but I mean that's football. I'll be okay. And man, Steph Curry don't ever stop shooting. I'm gonna keep letting it ride. And I don't got no shame in my game. I definitely got to be smarter, but I don't no confidence is taken away from me. I'm gonna keep letting it fly. I mean, there's things where it can go either way, and they got the better of me today. And that's just the NFL, so I'm blessed enough to come out here with a dub, but my confidence isn't going nowhere. I'm going to keep shooting it. I'm going to keep letting it fly. And that's what I think that's what makes me great, is that those times where you either get away with it or you don't, or you make the play you don't. I've been blessed enough to have plays where nobody talks about it because they don't make the play. But this game, they made the plays, and that's not going to skew my confidence one bit. And I'm going to keep being me. I think I'm very confident, not only in myself, but how we're playing as an offense in a whole. And I'm not going to let my emotions and things get in front of that. And this is a football, man. This is not tennis or anything like that. I'm out there with 11 guys, and those guys always have picked me up, and I appreciate that, So, and I'm still learning as I'm going, and I'm really blessed to be able to do it with such a special group of guys, So, man, my confidence is still there. I'm gonna keep doing what I do.
The one interception to Nico in the end zone, that was the one that was most curious from being fooled by the coverage, because there didn't look to be, from the TV copy at least, a lot to be fooled by. And I saw Bobby Slowick talking to CJ after that play. I think that there may have been an anticipation of something else. I think maybe they thought they were going to see a different look. Sometimes when you have that in your head, you're going to see a certain look. You just flat out go blind to things. I mean, I know that as a defensive player, but I know from, quarterbacks will talk about, sometimes they just flat out don't see a defender, even though they're right there. Remember in the quarterback documentary, Kirk Cousins threw it to a defensive back that he thought was his offensive player. He just flat out just had a mental glitch in the matrix where he thought he was seeing his receiver, and he threw it directly to the defensive back. It happens. Do I want Kirk Cousins to be the ceiling? God, no. God, no. But no offense to Kirk Cousins. I think CJ's ceiling is higher than that. And somehow that shouldn't be offensive to Kirk Cousins.
After the touchdown tape, the crowd was giving you an MVP chant. I don't know if you could hear that. What was your reaction to that?
I really didn't hear it, but I appreciate it. But yeah, it's cool. Hopefully, man, I keep playing good and keep putting wins together, and that's definitely, of course, in my goals, not only for this year, but I mean for every year. But I mean, at the end of the day, I'm focused on one play, one game at a time, and knowing how people are so wishy-washy, I don't know if I'm still in that race. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, but nah, man, I think this game, man, it's the testament of who is gonna not blink and who's gonna just keep going. And for me, I mean, that's how.
Remember in the quarterback documentary, Kirk Cousins threw it to a defensive back that he thought was his offensive player. He just flat out just had a mental glitch in the matrix where he thought he was seeing his receiver, and he threw it directly to the defensive back. It happens. Do I want Kirk Cousins to be the ceiling? God, no. God, no. But no offense to Kirk Cousins. I think CJ's ceiling is higher than that. And somehow that shouldn't be offensive to Kirk Cousins.
After the touchdown tape, the crowd was giving you an MVP chant.
I really didn't hear it, but I appreciate it. But yeah, it's cool. Hopefully, man, I keep playing good and keep putting wins together, and that's definitely, of course, in my goals, not only for this year, but I mean for every year. But I mean, at the end of the day, I'm focused on one play, one game at a time, And knowing how people are so wishy-washy, I don't know if I'm still in that race. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, but nah, man. I think this game, man, it's the testament of who is gonna not blink and who's gonna just keep going. And for me, I mean, that's how kind of the adversity that I've been dealt, not only in my football career but in life. So I'm gonna just keep going, man. And I think I put another great performance together. Was blessed enough to have a great game throwing the ball. But of course, you got to eliminate the turnovers. But I appreciate the fans doing that and appreciate them, man. We're going to need them for sure next week. Jacksonville's a great team. Playing them twice, and it's hard to beat a team twice. So we got to bring our A game, and their energy, that definitely helps. So appreciate y'all, God bless.
I know it was announced that was the lowest paid attendance in a long time. I do think that in the second half, especially once the seats filled up, it was a pretty good crowd, and they were really loud. There was at least one time it affected the Cardinals where they took a delay of game, and it was super loud in there. I thought down on the goal line or in the red zone at times, it got super, super loud. So I thought that the fans actually did a great job in a game that, for whatever reason, even more so than a lot of NFC games, it feels like it doesn't have that same juice, this matchup. I talked to a Cardinals fan about it before the game, and there were very few Cardinals fans in attendance. That might have been one reason for a little bit lower paid attendance, because the Cardinals fans just don't travel all that great. It just doesn't feel like a natural rivalry. I think the Jaguars are obviously a very natural rivalry. I think it'll be even better next week, but I didn't have really any complaints about it as far as that goes. As far as him talking about the wishy-washiness of people in their MVP candidacies or favorites, I think when CJ talks about that, I've been impressed with this about him. It doesn't seem like he's got a grudge about it or anything. I think he seems more philosophical about it. And if only to remind himself maybe that, hey, there's going to be highs, there's going to be lows, and people are going to exaggerate those highs and lows. And you never want to ride that wave of public sentiment or what the media is saying or anything like that, for better or for worse, because it comes back to bite you. It's all part of keeping an even keel, I think. So he didn't want to be too high after last week's performance. And then this week, he's not trying to beat himself up to death over 3 losses. I'm Seth Payne. I played for the Texans for 5 years, played in the NFL for 10. This is my YouTube channel. I also do sports radio on Sports Radio 610 from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday morning. You can check it out online. I'll link it below. And we do the pregame show on Sunday. So please like, subscribe, tell a friend.